Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a spider pig. Spider pig, does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a spider pig. Spider pig, does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a spider pig. Spider pig, does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't.
Now, tragically obvious that reasoning with the bitch is not gonna work, Tom. You have to hit her.
I'm an assistant district attorney, for Christ's sake.
Tom, you have to get past this.
It's okay, Faggot. Really?
See, faggot, she just gave you permission.
Ah!
See that? Bitch has no problem hitting you.
All right, lady. Okay, look.
You're definitely allowed by law to hit her now, Tom. It's self-defense.
Okay?
Yes, Apple, you are in rare form.
Rick Sanchez, I've heard a lot about you.
I've been looking for you, Pharaoh, and I need that Millennium Puzzle to find Prime Rick. You're going to lose, Pharaoh.
Let's duel!
Sweet. I summon Pickle Rick in attack mode. Next, I'll place 2 cards face down and end my turn.
Why would you summon such a weak monster in attack mode?
Why don't you attack me and find out?
Careful what you wish for. I play the magic card, Dark Magic Curtain. By paying half of my life points, I'm able to special summon the Dark Magician from my deck. Come forth, my loyal servant!
What a waste of life points.
Dark Magician, attack Pickle Rick! Dark Magic Attack!
I activate my trap card. In a pickle, whenever Pickle Rick level 1 is attacked, I can sacrifice him to special summon Pickle Rick level 3.
Oh, hey there. You know what I like to do after a long day of beating up bad guys? Beat up some more bad guys on Raid Shadow Legends. This game is huge, like 80 million players huge.
Your monster is still not strong enough. Dark Magician, proceed.
I activate Morty's Mind Blowers. This gives Pickle Rick memories of his assassin days. Now he remembers some serious kung fu. This increases Pickle Rick's attack power by 1500 until the end of this turn.
Oh no!
Attacking me with your Dark Magician was a mistake, Pharaoh. Thanks to my magic card, my monster is stronger.
Magician!
That's what happens when you f with Pickle Rick. That was capoeira, not kung fu.
Rick, this duel is far from over. I have my faith in the heart of the cards.
Oh yeah.
Perhaps it's time I teach you some manners. I activate the magic card double summon, allowing me to normal summon twice in the same turn. Because of the Dark Magic Curtain card I played, the monsters can only be set face down.
Put yourself there, didn't you?
The Dark Magician Girl is the key to my next combo. I set one monster face down, and immediately tribute it to set another.
This guy clearly doesn't know my special ability.
I set one card face down, and end my turn.
You should just give me the Millennium Puzzle now and save yourself from humiliation.
Rick, you underestimate me. You will regret it.
I activate the equipped magic card, Laser Cannon. This gives Pickle Rick an extra 1,000 attack points. With Laser Cannon, this special effect activates. If he attacks a monster in defense position, its defense becomes 0. Pickle Rick, attack his face down card.
I activate the trap card, Mirror Force.
Shit. Oh yeah. Wait, what the f just happened? Damn it! I need to summon my Egyptian god card and finish off the rest of his life points. Your style of dueling is cheap, Pharaoh.
Rick, maybe if you weren't so drunk, you would have seen my Mirror Force trap card coming.
activate the continuous magic card, Meeseeks box. This is a Meeseeks box. Let me show you how it works. You press this.
I'm Mr. Meeseeks! Look at me!
What kind of creature is this?
Mr. Meeseeks has 3 abilities, and I can use one of them once per turn by paying 1,000 life points. Mr. Meeseeks, draw 3 cards from my deck.
Can do! I'm Mr. Meeseeks! Let me try something!
Sweet.
What are his other 2 abilities? Rick, tell me.
You'll just have to find out the hard way, Pharaoh. I play the magic card, Portal Ex Machina. By discarding 1 card in my graveyard, I can add 1 magic card from my deck to my hand. I discard my weak goblin. I choose the magic card, Portal Reborn. By paying half of my life points, it brings back the weak goblin I just discarded. When weak goblin is special summoned from the graveyard, his effect activates. Lets me special summon another one from my deck.
He must be planning to summon his god card.
The look on your face says it all. You were about to bricks. Next, I play the magic card Ancient Chant. It lets me add the Winged Dragon of Rock from my deck to my hand. And thanks to Ancient Chant, I get 1 extra tribute summon.
So you think you can wield the power of an Egyptian god?
Yeah,
You're meddling with forces beyond your comprehension.
I'm a genius. Nothing is beyond my comprehension. I normal summon Gronklemite. Next, I will tribute all 3 of my monsters to summon the Winged Dragon of Rock. Protector of the sun and sky, I beg of thee, please heed my cry. Transform thyself from orb of light and bring me victory in this fight. I beseech thee, grace our humble game, but first I shall call out the name of the Winged Dragon of Rock. Stare into the face of defeat, Pharaoh. I have to summon the most powerful Egyptian god.
Rick, every monster has its weakness, even your Winged Dragon of Ra. There is only 1 card in my deck that can defeat Ra. Part of the cards. Guide me.
Pharaoh, I've seen worlds you wouldn't even dream of. I know the true secrets of the Winged Dragon of Rock.
I take no heed in trusting the words of a drunk.
See for yourself. I activate the field magic card, the Alley of the Sun God. On this sacred shrine, Rock gains 500 attack points at the end of every turn.
I sense energies of the Shadow Realm within it. Rick, where did you find this card?
If I told you, you wouldn't believe it. And one more thing. Once per turn, you have to flip a coin. If you call it wrong, you discard 1 card. If you call it right, you lose 500 life points. Heads or tails, Pharaoh?
It'll be heads. I choose heads.
You got lucky this time.
Lucky isn't quite the word I would use.
I thought you would have figured it out, Pharaoh. This has become a shadow game. Your move, attempt.
How does he know my name? My move, I draw. I activate the magic card, Pot of Greed. This allows me to draw 2 cards. Perfect. Now it's time to reveal yourself. Come forth, Dark Magician Girl.
Pathetic.
Next, I play the magic card, Sage Stone. When Dark Magician Girl is on the field, it allows me to special summon the Dark Magician.
This face again.
Now I set 1 card face down and activate the magic card Monster Reborn. And I choose to bring back my Kuribo.
Why would anyone put that in their deck?
Rick, you made a grave mistake by dueling me in this shadow game. Now watch as I summon one of Duel Monster's most powerful creatures. I sacrifice all 3 of my monsters to summon Slifer the Sky Dragon. Come, my mighty beast. Egyptian god.
1 card means 1,000 attack points. Is that the best you got?
Not quite. I activate Card of Sanctity. This card allows us both to draw until we have 6 cards in our hands. This takes Slifer's attack points up to 6,000.
I hate to burst your bubble, but it's time for Ballet of the Sun God's effect. I'd like to see you get lucky twice. Heads or tails?
Heads. It's as though my life energy is fading. What's wrong, Rick? Not the result you wanted.
Just make your move.
And now I leave it to destiny. I set 1 card face down and end my turn.
I I need to thank you, Pharaoh. Your card of sanctity gave me the exact card I need to crush Slifer the Sky Dragon. I activate the magic card, an eye for an eye.
What is this?
This is how it works. I discard cards to my graveyard, and you have to discard the same number of cards that I discard. That's for 1,000 fewer attack points for Slifer. Now your Egyptian god pales in comparison to mine. What was that you said? Every monster has its weakness?
Every monster does indeed have its weakness, which is why I came equipped with this trap card. Disgraceful charity! Every card that was discarded by a magic card this turn is returned to the player's hand. Now my Sky Dragon's strength returns!
You're not out of this yet. I still have one more chance to weaken Slifer. I activate Valley of the Sun God's effect. Heads or tails?
Heads!
What the f*** is going on?
I won't lose this duel! I'll take you down!
You won't beat me. I have come too far. That puzzle will be mine.
I'll remind you again, you are dealing with powers beyond your comprehension.
Boy, I can't wait to send your superstitious ass to the Shadow Realm.
You'll regret it.
You need to finish him now before he pulls out another combo. He's probably going to use his face-down card to increase Slifer's attack. Either way, it's a gamble. I'll just have to give myself the best odds. I activate the magic card, Columbus. This gives me an extra 1,000 life points. It's showtime.
Here it comes.
Rock! Obliterate Slifer! Blaze Cannon!
Not so fast! I activate the trap card Reckless Greed. This lets me draw 2 cards, increasing Slider's attack points to 7,000. Slifer, destroy Raw! Thunder Force!
That, I activate. Meeseeks Fox.
I'm Mr. Meeseeks! Look at me!
Mr. Meeseeks is going to roll a die. Whatever number it lands on gets multiplied by 200. That number is added to the attack points of Rock. If I roll 3 or higher, I win. There is only a 33% chance of you winning. The odds are in my favor.
Good luck, Rick.
Roll now.
Ooh, okay!
Slifer,
Rock.
Thunder
Blaze Cannon.
Force! This is a shadow game, Rick. Once it's begun, there is no escape. Slifer, show him what true power is all about.
It won't hold much longer. Izanagi.
The Dark Magician archetype, known in the Japanese as the Black Magician archetype, is a series of spellcaster monsters made famous by their original member, the Dark Magician, with him being the signature monster of the most famous Yu-Gi-Oh! Main character, Yu-Gi-Moto. As one of the oldest Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards in the game, originally being released in the very first Yu-Gi-Oh! Pack, Legend of Blue Eyes White Dragon, way back in 2002, you might be surprised to hear it didn't become a legitimate archetype until the release of the Eye of Timaeus in Dragons of Legend. Exactly 12 years later, That's a long time. Now, what I mean by this as well is prior to this, it was only classed as the Dark Magician series. Since to be an official archetype, you must have some support cards. This was something that the Dark Magician actually lacked. Keep in mind that this archetype also has the Dark Magician Girl archetype as a subsection. Since they are master and apprentice, the two work in perfect unison with each other. However, as I've already made a video on the Dark Magician Girls, they won't be covered in today's video. However, please go check that video out after this one if you haven't seen it already. It's probably worth mentioning too that as of the release of the Pendulum Monsters that debuted in Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, there has been a new Magician archetype. This archetype consists of cards like Stargazer Magician, Timegazer Magician, and the rest. These guys are not part of this archetype, but they could get a video in the future, so keep your eyes peeled. Anyway, without further ado, let's start with the Dark Magician, known in the Japanese as Black Magician. His flavor text reads, quite simply, the ultimate wizard in terms of attack and defense. As one of the oldest and most recognizable cards in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Game, it's safe to assume this monster has had a few alternative artworks throughout its years. Let's take a look, shall we? We have its original first series Bandai card artwork, as well as its two Bandai shields. We have his first artwork, which to me is the most iconic, displaying him with purple hair and in the hand on hat, knees bent pose. Keep an eye on this guy's hair color, it changes a lot. Next we have his second artwork, which might be influenced from his Bandai or manga counterparts, what with his blonde hair. However, this Dark Magician has green skin. Personally, not one of my favorites. His third artwork is technically depicting a different Dark Magician. With tan skin, red garbs, and white hair, this Dark Magician was used by Arcana in the anime and manga. The other reason he is technically classed as a separate monster is due to the fact that he possesses a completely different 8-digit passcode to his original form. His fourth artwork shows Dark Magician in front of the Tablet of Lost Memories, a very important relic used to help recover the Pharaoh's memories. The fifth artwork is the special anniversary artwork created by Kazuki Takahashi, depicting a more realistic take on the Dark Magician. His sixth artwork shows the Dark Magician within his own arcane dark magical circle, and the final seventh artwork is the anniversary artwork of the Dark Magician that was adapted for the Dark Side of Dimensions movie release. The question becomes though, where did all these artworks' influences come from? Well, the first was Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist Duel 3 Countdown. It was shown where he was attacking. The second was from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist Duel 35, The Magic of the Maze, when he was being summoned. The third is from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist Duel 103, from two separate panels. One where both the Dark Magicians are facing off, and the other is when Arcana summons his Dark Magician for the first time. The fourth is from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist Duel 102, The Fatal Duel, when it was being summoned. And the sixth was from Yu-Gi-Oh! Millennium World Duel 63, The Master of Servants, again taken from when he was summoned. Now, if you want to go a little bit further than just the reskins of the Dark Magician, he has actually influenced many monsters throughout its years. Some of these counterparts include a Cyberse counterpart known as Cyberse Magician, a Toon counterpart which goes along with the Dark Magician Girl known as Toon Dark Magician and Toon Dark Magician Girl, a Gagaga counterpart of these two known as Gagaga Magician and Gagaga Girl, a younger counterpart to these two known as Card Ejector and Miracle Flipper, as well as an older counterpart to the Dark Magician known as Dark Sage. There are also a bunch more of these cards, however we'll be covering most of them today, so let's not spoil them just yet. By the way, did you know that the ace monster of every main character of each Yu-Gi-Oh! Series follows a theme based on this monster, which has 2,500 attack, and in the original Bandai version also has 2,000 defense. That'll come in handy later. The Yu-Gi-Oh! GX ace monster wielded by Jaden Yuki is Elemental Hero Neos, which has 2,500 attack and 2,000 defense. The Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's ace wielded by Yusei Fudo is Stardust Dragon with 2,500 attack and 2,000 defense. You see where I'm going with this. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal ace monster wielded by Yuma Tsukumo is number 39 Utopia, which has 2,500 attack and 2,000 defense. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 ace monster wielded by Yu Sakaki is Odd Eyes Pendulum Dragon, which has 2,500 attack and 2,000 defense. And the Yu-Gi-Oh! Reigns ace monster wielded by Yusaku Fujiki is Fireball Dragon, which has 2,500 attack, but it doesn't have any defense. so unfortunately it can't match it there. We can go even a little bit further than this as well, as the ace monsters in the manga that are different to those than them in the anime also follow the Dark Magician's attack value influence. The different ones are Jaden's elemental hero Terra Firma, Yusei's Stardust Spark Dragon, and Yuya Sakaki's Odd Eyes Phantom Dragon. They all share that 2500 attack. Looking at the Dark Magician's artwork, bits and pieces of him appear in other card artworks. For example, the actual Dark Magician card itself appears in the artworks of Exchange and E-Hero Pit Boss. Dark Magician's robes appear in the card Magician's Robes, and his staff appears in the artworks of Black Illusion and Magician's Rod. As well, the Dark Magical Circle is seen in the background of this monster's artwork. Palladium Oracle Mahad. I was going to call it Palladium, but I'm guessing it is Palladium, so yeah, Palladium Oracle Mahad. If I'm saying that wrong, guys, let me know, but yeah. His effect is when you draw this card, you can reveal this card, special summon it from your hand. If this card battles a dark monster, its attack is doubled during the damage step only. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon one Dark Magician from your hand, deck, or graveyard. This monster is a direct reference to the original Dark Magician way back from ancient Egypt, known as High Priest Mahad. As the story goes, in an attempt to defeat Thief King Bakura, he sacrificed his life and fused his spirit energy with his spirit monster, Illusion Magician, to become the Dark Magician. He did this so that he could always be by Atem's side, always able to serve him. Now that you're armed with this knowledge, you can see how perfectly this monster's effect reflects his backstory, since this monster's effect to special summon Dark Magician occurs after it is destroyed, just like how Mahad had to die in order to become the Dark Magician. This also actually feeds into his name of Palladium, as it refers to both a chemical element, which isn't that important technically, but more likely it is referring to the term Palladium, which means to be a source of protection, something that Mahad strived to do for the pharaoh. There is also one last possible reference to ancient Egypt in this card's artwork. If we look at Oracle Mahad's belt, it almost looks like the Millennium Ring's pointers are jutting out from it. This is fitting, as in the past, the user of the Millennium Ring was Mahad himself. Keep in mind that the fact that this monster is based on a card from the past actually puts it on a very short list of Yu-Gi-Oh cards that are characters from the Yu-Gi-Oh series of the past. Other cards include Thief King Bakura as Gravekeeper's Heretic and Gravekeeper's Esper. Might be a little bit of Marrakesh-Tar mixed in with that character, but it's a bit more Bakura to me. And the other card is Kasara as Maiden with Eyes of Blue, Dark Magician of Chaos. During the end phase, if this card was normal or special summoned this turn, you can target one spell card in your graveyard, add it to your hand. You can only use the effect of Dark Magician of Chaos once per turn. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, after damage calculation, banish that opponent's monster. If this face-up card would leave the field, banish it instead. Technically, in the Japanese, this monster is not an actual Dark Magician card. Though it is still a part of the archetype, its name does not contain this, which apparently means it doesn't actually count as a Dark Magician. However, despite this, Dark Magician of Chaos and its retrained counterpart, Magician of Black Chaos, are most obviously upgraded forms of the Dark Magician. This is made most evident by the effect of dedication through light and darkness, which specifically requires a Dark Magician to be tributed in order for a Dark Magician of Chaos to be summoned. Dark Magician of Chaos, sometimes abbreviated to DMARC, was the cover card for Invader of Darkness, Invasion of Chaos, Dark Revelations Volume 2, and Expert Edition Volume 2. However, his other form, Magician of Black Chaos, was the cover card for Premium Pack 1. This card had two very weird anomalies associated with its release. The first that occurred was that when this monster was released in Japan, it was in fact impossible to be summoned, as Black Magic Ritual was not released until months later. This unusualness carried over to the international release, since when Dark Magician Girl came out, this card did not become available until 4 years after that monster was released. The reason that this is odd is because the Dark Magician Girl's effect directly references this monster, so as such, it made part of her effect virtually unusable. Finally, this monster appears in the artworks of Chaos Scepter Blast, which is a reference to its English attack name, Scepter Strike, whereas its name in the Japanese was Spell of Destruction, Death, Ultima. Skilled Dark Magician. Its effect is each time a spell card is activated, place 1 spell counter on this card when that spell resolves. Maximum of 3. You contribute this card with 3 spell counters on it to special summon 1 Dark Magician from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So, the Skilled Dark Magician is, of course, the skillful counterpart to the Dark Magician. Now follow me here for a second. Dark Magician has a warrior counterpart known as Buster Blader, who has a skillful counterpart known as the skilled white magician. There's also the skilled red magician who can summon an archfiend monster, as well as the skilled blue magician who can summon a Gaia the Fierce Night monster. So, looking at all the monsters that can be summoned through the skilled magicians, they basically can all summon Yugi's best monsters. Pretty cool. Going a little bit further, the skilled Dark Magician is the complete opposite to the skilled White Magician, as they have opposite color schemes and attributes. Their attack and defenses are reversed, and while skilled White Magician special summons a warrior, skilled Dark Magician summons a spellcaster. It is also worth mentioning as well that the skilled Dark Magician is not technically a Dark Magician card, just like Dark Magician of Chaos. Though it is still a part of the archetype, the fact that its Japanese name does not contain this, it's technically not the same. Magician of Dark Illusion. This card's name becomes Dark Magician while it's on the field. You can only use each of these effects of Magician of Dark Illusion once per turn. During your opponent's turn, if you activate a spell, trap card, or effect, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card from your hand. If you activate a spell or trap card or effect while this card is face up on the field, except during the damage step, you can target 1 Dark Magician in your graveyard, special summon it. The effect can only be used once while this card is face up on the field. So this guy has the reverse attack and defense of the Dark Magician. This is interesting because, believe it or not, we actually referenced this card a little bit earlier. Remember Mahad, the man who would eventually become the original Dark Magician? Well, he sacrificed his life to fuse with his spirit monster, the Illusion Magician. Knowing that, it would be pretty safe to assume that this card is the representation of that event. Going further, it would even explain this monster's effect, since it immediately becomes the Dark Magician when it hits the field, and is able to special summon a Dark Magician from the grave. Dark Magician Knight. Can't be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned with Knight's title, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. When this card is special summoned, target 1 card on the field, destroy that target. The warrior counterpart to the Dark Magician, this monster can only be summoned with the spell card Knight's Title. Now, Knight's Title, to me, acts like something seen in some Japanese role-playing games, in order to respec your character's class. For example, to use a game that I am currently playing, in Octopath Traveler, you are able to change a character's class with a secondary one at certain shrines. In my game, I've turned my cleric Ophelia into a cleric who is also proficient as a warrior. That didn't last too long though, because I've got the dancer class now, so I put that on with her and it works really well. She's like an awesome support character. We're not talking about Octopath. I'm sorry, I just need to talk about it for a bit. Dark Magician Knight clearly keeps his spellcaster heritage, as he has one of the most awesome attack animations in the anime, where he is able to power up his sword using his arcane magic, which is absolutely awesome to see. It's also worth mentioning that when looking at the artwork of Knight's Title, we can see the letter B, which is an obvious reference to its Japanese name of Black Magician. And fun fact, according to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Dueling Legends Handbook, you can clearly see that Dark Magician Knight and Dark Flare Knight have had their pictures mixed up. Might as well quickly mention this as well. The Yu-Gi-Oh! Dueling Legends Handbook, I noticed that some of the artworks and some of the pictures on that one, they are exactly the same as the Yu-Gi-Oh! Sticker book that I used to have. Well, I still have it now, but I don't know. Which one of them came first? One of them's definitely cutting corners there, but interesting nonetheless. I just thought I'd show you because I have all of the stickers in this. Oh yeah. Dark Sage, or in the Japanese, he's known as Black Clothed Great Sage. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned from your hand or deck by attributing 1 Dark Magician immediately after applying the effect of Time Wizard, in which you called the coin toss right. When special summoned this way, add 1 spell card from your deck to your hand. Now, this monster had a pretty interesting debut in the anime. In fact, it was in my top 10 Yu-Gi-Oh! Shenanigans video. So, I want to ask you guys if you think it's a shenanigan or a calculated side deck usage. Here we go. Let's set the stage. It's the Duelist Kingdom semi-finals. The duel between Yugimoto and Joey Wheeler is well underway. Joey at this point in the series has gone from an awful duelist to being one attack away from defeating the soon-to-be King of Games himself. So Joey activates his Time Wizard's effect against Yugi's Dark Magician in order to weaken it. Keep in mind that the Time Wizard card was given to him by Yugi himself, so Yugi is very aware it's in his deck. The Time Roulette effect is successful. Well done, Joey. And the Dark Magician ages 1,000 years. So it's safe to say Joey is the victor, right? Well, it turns out Yugi had teched in the perfect counter to the Time Wizard for just this situation, the Dark Sage. Based on the anime, being aged 1,000 years allowed the Dark Magician to gain 1,000 years worth of knowledge, allowing him to mature into the Dark Sage. However, we know that in reality, this can only be summoned when the Time Wizard effect succeeds against a Dark Magician. So, regardless, when Dark Sage hits the floor, it means game over for Joey and victory for Yugimoto. So the argument is, was it fair for Yugi to exploit his knowledge of Joey's deck by using a card Joey never knew about? Or, just like in real life, once you know what your opponent is playing, especially in a tournament situation, the best thing to do is side in the perfect counter cards for your opponent's playstyle. I'll let you guys be the judge. And just keep in mind, I am very aware that this is season 1 and the rules hadn't really been established yet, but I don't know. Just thought I'd pose the question. Oh, and by the way, Time Wizard's Japanese name is Time Magician. So it's technically a part of the Dark Magician archetype. As well, due to its effect being one of the reasons that you can summon another Dark Magician card out as well, that's why it's technically a support card. Dark Eradicator Warlock, or in the Japanese, Black Executioner. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from your hand by attributing one Dark Magician, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Each time a normal spell card is activated, inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent immediately after it resolves. This card made its debut in Structure Deck 6, Spellcaster's Judgment, as the cover card for the deck. As such, Eradicator Warlock is an upgraded version of Dark Magician, since they both share the same attack, defense, level type, and attribute. However, now it has an effect to special summon itself and can deal damage every time a spell is used. Looking at the monster's artwork as well, it is safe to assume that he is actually the Dark Magician, since you could put all the Dark Magicians in a specific evolution, which would go something like this: Miracle Flipper as the child form, Dark Magician as the teen form, Eradicator Warlock as the adult form, and Dark Sage as the elderly form. This monster appears in the artwork of Magical Blast, and fun fact, this is one of the very few upgraded Dark Magician cards that has never been used by Yugimoto himself. Sorcerer of Dark Magic, or Magic Hierophant of Black. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from your hand by attributing 2 level 6 or higher spellcaster type monsters, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. During either player's turn, when a trap card is activated, you can negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. This card must be face up on the field to activate and to resolve this effect. I tell this story every time someone mentions this card. I'm sorry, but the wound still runs deep in me. Long ago, back in 2004, a young 11-year-old TGS anime went to see the Yu-Gi-Oh! Pyramid of Light movie at the cinema. As a promotion, what they were doing was giving away a free Yu-Gi-Oh! Card from the movie to each person that came. I invited my good friend from down the road called Michael. I thought to myself that it would be nice to see it with someone. Anyway, I let Michael go in front of me in the queue, and I see that he gets the Sorcerer of Dark Magic as his card. How awesome's that? And I was so excited to see what card I get. It was literally one of the best cards you could get, bar maybe Blue Eyes Shining Dragon. Everything else was just like kind of okay. Like it would have been cool to get one of the Sphinx cards or the Pyramid of Light. Just the fact to have the Pyramid of Light is still pretty cool. Anyway, when my turn comes, do you know what I got? I got a water pond. A goddamn water pond. Never forgotten it to this day. Anyway, the Sorcerer of Dark Magic is one of the strongest variations of the Dark Magician. It has the inverse attack and defense to the Dark Sage, in fact. As well, it has exactly 700 more attack and defense than its base form, the Dark Magician. Its attack name was known in the anime as Celestial Black Burning. Mirage Knight. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned by Dark Flare Knight, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. During damage calculation only, this card gains attack equal to the original attack of the opponent's monster it is battling. battling. During the end phase of a turn this card attacked or was attacked, banish this card. In simple terms, this card is a Dark Magician wrapped inside of a Mirage Dragon. However, that's not necessarily true, as Mirage Knight was released before Mirage Dragon. As such, someone at Konami must have really liked this card because 2 spin-off cards were produced from this card. One was the spell card Battle Fusion, which is based on the attack boosting ability of this card, as well as Mirage Dragon, which was created based on this monster's artwork. Allegedly, anyway, allegedly. Finally, Mirage Knight's effect that if it battles something, it banishes itself, could be a reference to the essence of a real-life mirage. Since when you see a mirage, it seems so real, and then you go up to it, and then you try and... It's always the water, isn't it? It's the oasis. It's like the typical mirage. You see the water, and you go up to it, and it's like sand, and you're like, oh, it's fake. So, yeah, that's what I think of when I think of a mirage, anyway. Moving on to the extra deck monsters, Dark Flare Knight. Requires Dark Magician and Flame Swordsman. You take no battle damage from battles involving this card. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, special summon 1 Mirage Knight from your hand or deck. Now, this card is a product of the friendship between Yugi Moto and Joey Wheeler. As such, it was used during the Virtual World arc to combine both their current deck masters in order to create a brand new, more powerful one. I do say more powerfully loosely, as Dark Flare Knight is one of the rare fusion monsters that have lower attack and defense than its fusion materials. Dark Flare Knight also appears in the artworks of Fusion Weapon and the anime exclusive cards Spell Speed, Spell Fusion, and Mirage Target. Dark Magician, the Dragon Knight. Requires Dark Magician and 1 Dragon Monster. This card's name becomes Dark Magician while on the field or in the graveyard. Your opponent cannot target spells or traps you control with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Probably one of the most badass Dark Magician upgraded forms. Here we see a Dark Magician, clad in medieval armor, brandishing a sword and a shield, whilst riding a legendary dragon. You can't get much better than that. Funnily enough though, my favorite Dark Magician Girl artwork is the counterpart to this card, Dark Magician Girl the Dragon Knight. I guess I'm just a sucker for knights in armor, I guess. As such, this card is the strongest monster in terms of attack and defense that includes the word Dark Magician in its card name. In case you're not in the know, the dragon seen here is the legendary dragon of Timaeus, which was wielded by Yugi Moto in the Waking the Dragons arc of Yu-Gi-Oh! However, this isn't the only dragon-riding Dark Magician. There's another one, and it's called Amulet Dragon. Requires Dark Magician and 1 Dragon-type monster, must be fusion summoned with the above fusion materials or with the Eye of Timaeus. If this card is special summoned, target any number of spell cards in the graveyard, minimum of 1, banish those targets, and if you do, this card gains 100 attack for each card banished by this effect. If this card is destroyed, you can target 1 spellcaster monster in your graveyard, special summon that target. Though this Dark Magician is not clad in armor, something interesting is happening. The glyphs bestowed upon the dragon are actually the symbols from the Enochian alphabet. This is unusual, as the antagonists in the Waking the Dragons arc use an evil card known as the Seal of Orichalcos. The same symbols that appear around this monster also appear around the Seal of Orichalcos itself. As well, the Enochian alphabet is said to be the language of angels. Amulet Dragon might be infusing itself with the power of the enemy in order to make itself grow stronger. Dark Paladin. Requires Dark Magician and Buster Blader, must be fusion summoned. When a spell card is activated, quick effect, you can discard 1 card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy it. This card must be face up on the field to activate and to resolve this effect. Gains 500 attack for each Dragon-type monster on the field and in the graveyard. Dark Paladin, like the Dark Magician, has a few artwork alternatives. Interestingly though, they came out in different orders depending on where you lived. For example, his first Japanese artwork is actually the International's second Dark Paladin artwork, and it was taken from the title page of Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist Duel 203 as a friend. His second Japanese artwork is in fact the first international artwork released, and it was taken from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist Duel 202 Beyond Hatred, specifically from the panel where it was summoned. The only exception is the third artwork, which is actually the third artwork all over the world, and it was taken from Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist Duel 203 as a friend as well. Speaking of the third artwork though, the background supernova looking object looks very similar to that of the card Diffusion Wave Motion, which was a spell card used in conjunction with Dark Paladin in order to defeat Seto Kaiba in the Battle City Finals. Dark Paladin was the cover card for Magician's Force and Duelist Pack Yugi, and based on this card being the fusion of the Dark Magician and Buster Blader, it could be safe to assume that these two monsters are the extremes of their respective classes. Dark Magician as a spellcaster and Buster Blader as a warrior. When the two are combined though, they create a new being with a perfect balance of these two classes. Ebon High Magician, or the Japanese, Ebon Void Magician. Requires 2 level 7 spellcaster type monsters. While this card has Xyz materials, you can activate a quick play spell card or trap card from your hand during your opponent's turn by detaching 1 Xyz material from this card at activation. If this Xyz summon card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, or if this Xyz summon card you control is sent to the graveyard by opponent's card effect, you can special summon 1 dark spellcaster type monster from your hand or deck. Then you can destroy 1 card on the field. A very different looking magician card compared to the other dark magicians. This Xyz monster's requirements are 2 level 7 spellcaster monsters, thus making the most perfect choice of overlay units to be the Dark Magician. This monster's ability to activate spells or traps from the hand could be a reference to a monster we talked about earlier, the Dark Sage, as the Dark Sage's anime effect allows you to activate spell cards during either player's turns as well. As such, this card could almost be looked at as the retrained counterpart to the Dark Sage, except, you know, much younger. Ebon Illusion Magician. Requires 2 level 7 monsters. You can also Xyz summon this card by using a rank 6 spellcaster type Xyz monster you control as this Xyz material. Xyz materials attached to that monster also become Xyz materials attached to this card. Once per turn, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, special summon 1 spellcaster type normal monster from your hand or deck. When a spellcaster type normal monster declares an attack, you can target 1 card your opponent controls, banish it. You can only use the effect of Ebon Illusion Magician once per turn. The name of this monster is a direct reference to Mahad's spirit monster Illusion Magician in the manga. It could also be looked at as the materialized version of the Illusion Magician had it not been merged with Mahad. In fact, there is another card that could be a female counterpart to this monster, known as Magi Magician Gal, which I'm sad to say may never be released as Kazuki Takahashi refuses to censor any more Magician Girl cards for international release. In fact, this comparison between Ebon Illusion Magician and Magi Magician Gal is fitting because it's further supported by the fact that this card's other Xyz summoning method, by using a rank 6 Xyz monster, the monster that can be directly used is Magi Magician Gal because she's a rank 6 Xyz monster. It's perfect. Legendary Magician of Dark. Requires 3 level 7 monsters, must be Xyz summoned and cannot be special summoned by other ways. If this card attacks your opponent directly and reduces their life points to 0, while it has an Xyz material attached that was originally a spellcaster type monster, you win the match. As a match winner card, if this card is able to deal the finishing blow to your opponent, you don't just win the duel, you win the entire match. Let's quickly mention the elephant in the room. You're not actually allowed to play this card. It's illegal. You're not allowed to play it in tournaments or anything like that. And just to give you a quick bit of lore, why match winners are banned, believe it or not, it's not specifically to do with the fact that they're broken or too powerful or anything. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. It's because they promote bad dueling etiquette. See, in a tournament environment, you're allowed to surrender at any point in a duel, even as your opponent declares a direct attack with a match winner card. Due to this, it's pretty much impossible to get off the match winner's effect to those in the know. So to prevent this, they just banned them from tournament play and simply kept them as prize cards. They are very valuable, keep that in mind. Well, some are. Anyway, this card is the same attack, defense, rank if you turn it into a level, type, attribute as the Dark Magician. It is even shown in the same pose as the original Dark Magician's artwork. Hand on hat, knees bent, all that jazz. And if we look in the background of this monster's artwork, we can see 3 seals behind it, which are probably alluding to the 3 materials required for this monster's summon. FYI as well, since the Blue Eyes White Dragon and Dark Magician are just so iconic in the game, not only does the Dark Magician have a match winner in Legendary Magician of Dark, but the Blue Eyes White Dragon also has an Xyz match winner called Legendary Dragon of White. Now then, let's finish this up with all of the Dark Magician support cards. The Eye of Tamaya, Start Burning Magic, Dark Magic Attack, Dark Magic Curtain, Dominion, Dark Magic Expanded, Dark Magic Inheritance, Dark Magic Veil, Dark Magical Circle, Dark Renewal, Black Illusion, Black Magic Ritual, Chaos Form, Chaos Scepter Blast, Dedication Through Light and Darkness, Eternal Soul, Illusion Magic, Knight's Title, Magic Formula, Magician's Navigation, Miracle Restoring, Sage's Stone, Thousand Knives. And woof! That is the entire Dark Magician archetype. I want to give a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters. Thank you to my gold tier Patreon backers, Light, J24092, CBCBCBCB, Barrett Jackson Daly, The Gengar King, Matthew Braithwaite, Chung Ming Zen, David Shanahan, Jack Sisson, and Jason Clegg. As well to everybody else, thank you very much for supporting the channel. I'll see you next time. Bye.
Hit back one more time, right? Cause y'all see Yokin. Y'all don't know what Yokin is? That's that other link that I be dropping. Cause I got an affiliate marketing with these guys too.
How does one win at Yu-Gi-Oh? Well, typically, we both have monsters and we both have life points. We smash those monsters together until one of our life points hits 0. Last man standing wins. That's not the only way, of course. There are monsters, spells, and traps who have effects that can deal damage, basically burning your opponent's life points. That's another way to win. I guess you could win as well by decking out your opponent, but I mean, everybody plays the life point game. Isn't there any cooler ways of winning at Yu-Gi-Oh without having to get rid of all your opponent's life points or just making them lose all the cards in their deck? Both of those, they're just too boring. If only there was some kind of game instant winning mechanic out there. But if you're watching this video, obviously there are. These are my top 10 instant win conditions in Yu-Gi-Oh! Number 88, Gimmick Puppet of Leo, and number C88, Gimmick Puppet Disaster Leo. Apologies, straight off the bat I've already combined two monsters into a single category. I'm sorry, but in my defense, these two monsters are technically the same card, just one is like an upgraded version of the other one. So I thought it'd be okay, so just go along with it on this one. This is the only time I'm going to do it, I swear. Number 88, Gimmick Puppet of Leo, and number C88, Gimmick Puppet Disaster Leo are monsters used by a man named Quattro as part of his Gimmick Archetype deck in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal series. The first, number 88, Gimmick Puppet of Leo, is a rank 8 Xyz monster who requires 3 level 8 monsters to be summoned. His effect is, once per turn, if you have no cards in your spell and trap card zone, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card. And if you do, place 1 Destiny counter on this card. You cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this effect. When 3 Destiny counters are on this card, you win the duel. So the way that you win with this card is actually pretty simple. You have 3 turns to detach 3 cards. Once you've done that, you win the duel. Pretty simple. So then, why is this card so low on the list? Well, it's because the card itself makes it incredibly difficult to protect it in order to gain its 3 Destiny counters. It's basically guaranteed to get murked within those 3 turns before you can win. And here's why. In order for you to activate this monster's detach effect, you have to have no spell or trap cards on the field. So what has to happen is you use this monster's ability with nothing set on the field and hope your opponent can't negate the effect because you've got technically no way of stopping it. Now that's 3 times you basically have to roll the dice every time you activate this monster's effect. You either need something in your hand, like a hand trap, or that's it really, there's no other way of stopping it. There is a positive to this though. You are allowed to set spells and traps after you've activated the ability of the monster. However, you have to make sure you get rid of them by the time your turn comes around, or else you can't use this monster's ability. So what could happen is you activate this monster's ability, you set a compulsory evacuation device just in case your opponent gets a stronger monster out so that you can stop it from being attacked into, and then your opponent decides, you know what, no, I'm not going to do that. He plays some face downs, and then your turn comes and you can't activate compulse, so you can't use your monster's ability. That's another turn added on. Now, while all this is going on, let's just hope that your opponent isn't building up a strong field, because this card's effect also states that none of your monsters on your side of the field are allowed to attack if you want to go for the instant win condition. So this is your opponent now. My turn. You can't destroy any of my monsters. Let's summon some out. Let's summon a big monster. You've got 3 turns to do this, and in those 3 turns, I'm pretty sure he's going to get a decent monster out. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a decent monster. It could just have more attack than it, or just an ability that it can destroy a monster on the field, and that's it. You're screwed. And of course, the most cardinal sin of all, for any boss monster in any deck, it has no self-protection. If you want to be sustainable in today's meta, you need to protect yourself with some kind of ability. Well, how about its upgraded form then? Number C88, Gimmick Puppet Disaster Leo. This guy is a rank 9 Xyz monster who requires 4 level 9 monsters. He must be special summoned with a rank up magic spell card targeting number 88, Gimmick Puppet of Leo. Cannot be special summoned by other ways. This card cannot be targeted by card effects. Once per turn, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, inflict 1000 damage to your opponent. During your end phase, if your opponent's life points are 2000 or less, and this card has no Xyz materials, you win the duel. Now let's not kid ourselves, Disaster Leo is a step up from its base form Leo. However, every single thing that's good about it, there's also a little but that goes along with it. For example, now he has an effect that protects himself. That's good. That's something that Leo didn't have. However, this protection ability only states that cards can't target it, though that will stop some things. It won't stop everything. Anything that doesn't target, basically, can still be destroyed quite easily. However, it's still better than nothing. But the big upgrade about this monster is the fact that it has no restrictions whatsoever in its card effect. You want to summon some monsters and attack? You do that, my friend. You want to play some speller traps? Go nuts. Best of all as well, it has 3500 attack, which is pretty sweet. As an added bonus as well, its other effect, the fact it can deal 4000 damage over the space of 4 turns, that's not so bad. It's okay. However, once we take into account its instant win ability, the card becomes a little less awesome. Now, if this is the way that you're going to go for your instant win, first things first, it's a bit of a hassle to get out. You have to get 3 level 8 monsters in order to summon base Leo first, and then you need to make sure you get a rank up magic card into your hand, and then that you can activate that rank up magic card so that you can summon Disaster Leo to the field. You need to make sure all of that doesn't get negated. At the moment, you've used at a minimum 5 cards so far. That's not including any other cards that you've used to get the level 8 monsters out, which I'm sure you will have to. So it's a lot of resources you're pulling into this, and the fact that you need to make sure that none of this gets negated, because this is kind of like a late game thing going on right now. And why is it so beneficial that it's a late game thing? Well, the instant win condition states that you need to have your opponent have 2000 life points or less. So if you get this out at the start and you're just trying to do burn effect damage, then you can only do 4000. So you're going to have to attack with this monster anyway, which is risking your monster even more. You kind of want to get it out towards the end of the game, though if you get this monster out while your opponent has 2000 life points, that's pretty cool. But most likely, the way you're going to be playing with this deck, the way you're going to go for the instant win condition, if you've managed to burn your opponent down to 2000 life points, you're most likely already winning. Plus the fact that they've only got 2000 life points as well, you might as well just go for a regular victory. I will give this monster some credit though. If you're a fan of the gimmick deck and you like this as your boss monster, just look at it as a boss monster. It's the strong monster you want to get out with a decent effect, and if the criteria happens to be met, where your opponent's got 2000 or less life points and you happen to win, it's just a nice little surprise. Look at it that way and this monster's not so bad. Pretty good even. Venomenaga, the deity of poisonous snakes. She's a level 10 monster with 0 attack and 0 defense. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must first be special summoned with Rise of the Snake Deity, and cannot be special summoned by other ways, except by its own effect. This card gains 500 attack for each reptile monster in your graveyard. This card cannot be targeted by and is unaffected by spell, trap effects, and other effect monsters effects. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can banish one other reptile reptile type monster from your graveyard, special summon this card. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, place 1 Hyper Venom counter on it. When 3 Hyper Venom counters are on this card, you win the duel. This monster was the ace card of Professor Felonious Viper in the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX anime. Now to summarise this monster's instant win ability, pretty simple. You get her out, and then you just deal damage with her 3 times, and then you win. Easy. Right? Let's get the positives out the way first. Did you know this monster is over 10 years old? By that logic as well then, you would think, oh well, it must have a very outdated ability though. Well, no actually, it was actually very modern considering how things are nowadays, because it actually has protection. It even has an anti-battle destruction, so if it's destroyed by battle, as long as you've got a reptile in the grave, banish one of those bad boys, special summon it right back. Pretty good. I would have to say that that immunity is one of its biggest reasons for being on this list. It's really awesome the fact that this card has had it. If you can get this monster out on the field and you have enough reptile monsters in your graveyard to give it decent attack, your opponent's going to have a tough time, and that's something you really do want with an instant win kind of monster with this. It gives it some viability to stay on the field to attack and succeed. The problems become apparent everywhere before this monster hits the field though. This monster has to exist in a reptile deck, and I know some people out there are going to say, well, I have a decent reptile deck. Good for you. There isn't that much support for the reptiles. There's not really any amazing cards I can think of that would go in a reptile deck, nor are there any really special reptile monsters. You guys might know more than this, but to me, I can't think of a single one, so the fact that this monster has to be in a reptile deck, it's a hindrance already. What's worse is you can only summon this monster with the card Rise of the Snake Deity, which can only be activated if you have Phenomenon, the King of Poisonous Snakes, on the field, which needs to be tribute summoned to get out, and then that monster has to be destroyed by a card effect to trigger the Rise of the Snake Deity. And after all of that, hoping nothing gets negated or interrupted, I hope that you have about 6 or more reptile monsters in the grave, or else Venomenaga is going to have some pretty weak source attack. And of course, with this monster, you're going to have to deal some damage if you want to win. So to summarise, Venomenaga is a good card with a decent effect that could win you the game with its instant win, but it's far too much hassle to get it out to be worth it. Viper had to find that out the hard way. Don't you do the same. Last turn. This card can only be activated during your opponent's turn when your life points are 1000 or less. Select 1 monster on your side of the field and send all of the cards on the field and in their respective owner's hands to the graveyard. After that, your opponent selects and special summons 1 monster from their deck in face-up attack position and attacks your selected monster. Any battle damage from this battle is treated as 0. The player whose monster remains alone on the field at the end phase of this turn wins the duel. Any other case results in a draw. The first trap instant win card on this list, this card was used by Seto Kaiba in the anime. Now I've decided to put it in the number 8 position because I find it a really fun card to use. Yes, technically it is banned because it's a little bit broken, but it doesn't matter, does it really? I still think it's pretty cool. The idea of a card that once your life points have been whittled down all the way to 1000, let's just say you're playing against some OP player. He's so strong and powerful, he's been wrecking you the entire duel, but unbeknownst to them, you have your awesomely named Last Turn, which is a great name for a card, or Last Battle as it's known as in the Japanese. You play this card, assuming you got a decent enough monster on the field, your opponent selects one from his deck, and you have this final battle to decide who wins the duel. I think it's quite poetic. I like it. It's cool. The biggest positive of this card nowadays is the heavy reliance on extra deck cards, because so many people rely on them. People don't tend to put strong monsters in their normal deck nowadays. If you just happen to have a decent one, not so bad. I mean, it's not even that hard to get your life points down to 1000 if you really wanted to. Let's just say you summon the Winged Dragon of Ra and you used its ability to dump all your life points into this monster's attack. You've got like 100 life points left. You can play Last Resort, and you also have a Winged Dragon of Ra with, I'm assuming, quite a lot of attack points. Or if you want to be a little bit cheeky, you can summon the monster that I always butcher its name, Fossil Dyna Pachycephalo? Pachycephalo. I can't say its name, I'm sorry. Because if you have that monster on the field, your opponent can't special summon a monster. So that means instant win. Ghost Trick, Angel of Mischief. She's a rank 4 Xyz monster that requires 2 level 4 monsters in order to be summoned. Her effect is you can also Xyz summon this card by using Ghost Trick Xyz monsters you control as the Xyz material, except Ghost Trick Angel of Mischief. Xyz materials attached to that monster also become Xyz materials on this card. When the number of Xyz materials on this card becomes 10, you win the duel. Once per turn, you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, add 1 Ghost Trick spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. Once per turn, you can attach 1 Ghost Trick card from your hand to this card as an Xyz material. Probably the second most stally instant win card on this list. The way that you win a Ghost Trick Angel of Mischief is, basically you summon it to the field. Every turn you're allowed to attach 1 of your Ghost Trick cards in your hand onto this card. Once you've hit 10 of them all together, you win. Best case scenario, you use another Ghost Trick Xyz for this monster's summon. That gives you 3 materials right off the bat. And then you can use its effect straight away to add 1 more unit. That gives you 4. At a minimum, 6 more turns need to go by before you can reach 10. An instant win. That means though that in those 6 turns you have to keep this monster on the field and alive. And this monster, it just really doesn't want to survive, does it? It's got no monster protection, it's got no spell protection, it's got no trap protection. What's its attack and defense at the very least? It's got 2,000 attack and 2,500 defense. So not very good, really. And unfortunately, that's not even the worst part. The worst part is you have to have the Ghost Trick cards in your hand in order to use this card's ability. Because if you don't have them, you can't equip it to them. And you're going to need to use some of them to keep your monster alive. So this is the problem. How are you going to get enough cards? The other problem with this card as well is the archetype that it's in. Don't get me wrong, I really like the Ghost Trick cards. They're really cool, they have a really cool mechanic, they're really fun. But unfortunately, due to the introduction of Link summoning into the game, Link monsters are a big hindrance to this deck. A Ghost Trick deck relies on making your opponent's monsters going face down defense position. And what can't a Link monster be in? Face down defense position. Overall though, I do like this monster. She's easy to summon, she has a cool artwork, and her abilities outside of the instant win, they're pretty good. It's just the fact that if you're trying to go for that instant win, then it's just not going to happen really. And if it is, it's a big time and resource consumer. So it's not really worth it, but it's still fun. Number 7. Horakathi, the creator god of light. A divine level 12 monster with mystery attack and mystery defense. Cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from your hand by attributing 3 monsters whose original names are Slifer the Sky Dragon, Obelisk the Tormentor, and the Winged Dragon of Ra. This card's special summon cannot be negated. The player that special summons this card wins the duel. Referred to as the most powerful god in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Anime and manga, she is a culmination of the 3 Egyptian god cards Slifer, Ra, and Obelisk. She was used only once in the series by Pharaoh attempt to defeat the ultimate evil, Zork Necrophades. This monster's win condition is oh so simple. If you can summon this monster to the field, you win. But that if, it's a big if. In my opinion, this card is just as much hassle to get out as, say, Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth. Yeah, it's a long resource consumption to get this card out. Let's run through, shall we? You need to have all 3 Egyptian gods on the field. Each one requires 3 tributes if summoned normally. That's 9 tributes, keep that in mind. You can get a bit clever though and use something like Soul Charge to special summon Obelisk and Slifer from the grave. But then the Winged Dragon of Ra likes to be a bit awkward, so you're not actually allowed to special summon that one, so you're gonna have to get him out legitimately as well. Also, don't forget you need to have this card in your hand to summon it to the field, though I must admit that once you have the criteria met on the field and you go to summon this card, it can't be stopped. That's pretty cool. Honestly, if you've had the time to get out all 3 of the Egyptian gods over however long it's taken, you must already be in a really dominant position in that duel. So the fact that you're going for an instant win, it's regardless really, you're just doing it just for fun there really. To me though, this is the most fitting instant win. The fact that you're summoning the ultimate god, it definitely deserves something as overpowered as you just win the duel just like that. It's not the easiest to pull off, no, but it is the coolest. It's probably worth mentioning as well, this card isn't technically available internationally, it's only available in Japan. Sorry! Destiny Board. When this card and all 4 spirit message cards with different names are placed on your field, you win the duel. Once per turn during your opponent's end phase, place 1 spirit message card from your hand or deck in your spell and trap zone face up, in the proper order of I-N-A-L. When any spirit message card or destiny board you control leaves the field, send all spirit message cards and destiny boards you control to the graveyard. Used by Yami Bakura against Yugimoto in the anime, Destiny Board is one of my personal favourite sets of cards. I remember back in the day when I was a wee lad, one of the first cards I ever bought off the internet was the Destiny Board series. I actually can't remember how much it cost me back then. It was probably extortionate because I didn't know any better, but I bought the Destiny Board cards because I thought they were so awesome, and the fact that you could win with them, just seeing them in the anime as well, they seem so broken, and then you play them in real life and you realise that they're absolutely not broken, they're pretty much terrible. So to talk about how hard it is to win with these cards, we need to talk about how you win first. All you need to do, get that trap card Destiny Board on the field, set it face down, activate it, and then every single one of your opponent's end phases, you can add a Destiny card from your deck, put it on the field, put 5 of them down, you win. What's the problem with this? Well, Destiny Board occupies your spell and trap card zone, so you're going to need all those zones free if you want to play Destiny Board. So you can't play any continuous trap cards because that's going to ruin your day. Destiny Board needs to activate, and it has to be activated in the right order. This is a common misconception about the card. It doesn't have to actually spell final on the board. It doesn't have to be F-I-N-A-L. It could be F-I-N-A-L like that. Just as long as they hit the board in the correct word order, that's fine. And alas, Destiny Board has no protection for itself. So a very, very simple Mystical Space Typhoon, Twin Twister, I know it's banned, but Heavy Storm, any of that, it's ruined your strategy. And they don't even have to destroy all of them, they only have to destroy one. Once one's left the field, they all get thrown in the graveyard. However, hold on, there are some positives to this card. First things first, the fact that when you win with this card, it spells final, or even better in the Japanese, it spells death. What an amazing way to win the duel. Love it. The fact that you don't have to technically have these cards in your hand to play them on the field, and they can be just summoned from your deck. Big plus, really like that. And the big benefit nowadays, the problem with the clogging of the field, we have a card also used by Yami Bakura, Dark Sanctuary. Allows you to play the Destiny cards onto the monster card zones instead. Basically, freeing up your spell and trap card zones so you can actually protect yourself now. Thank God, that's a really good card. Keep in mind, if you're only playing the 5 cards in your deck, the F, the I, the N, A, and L, if you draw any of the spell cards, it's a dead draw. So yeah, you could have a potentially awful hand whenever you draw them. And even still, with Dark Sanctuary on the field, your cards are still susceptible to spell and trap destruction, so it's a problem. Overall, Destiny Board is so high on this list because it is one of my personal favourite cards of all time. Yeah. Number 5. Jackpot 7. When this card is activated, shuffle this card from the field into the deck. When this card in your possession is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, banish this card. If 3 of your Jackpot 7s are currently banished, and were all banished by this effect, you win the duel. Now, of course, to win with Jackpot 7, it has to come in a set of 3, and this is actually the first time I heard about this card whilst I was making this list. And at first glance, when I saw it, I thought it was awful. And in a way, it is awful, because this card relies on your opponent making all the moves. Basically, the ball's in their court if you're trying to go for this victory win condition. So why would they ever go along with it? Wouldn't they just avoid doing it? For example, let's just say I have one of my Jackpot 7s set on the field. My opponent destroys this card, thinking it's just a regular back row card. They realise what it is. I'm not going to destroy back row anymore because I'm not going to let him win like that. You're screwed. You could take this as a positive spin though, because now that your opponent has seen the Jackpot 7 card, they won't want to destroy any of your other back row, so it'd be a very good deterrent for keeping your back row safe. But that does mean you now have 2 cards floating around in your deck that are worthless. So how can we circumvent this problem? Well, you take the control away from your opponent. To do this, you need a little card called Creature Swap. Give your opponent a monster like Dark Scorpion Burglars, and all you have to do is attack into it with a weaker monster. Burglar's ability will kick in, forcing you to send 1 spell card from your deck to the graveyard. You just send the Jackpot 7, and then attack again, and there you go. Victory. You can also creature swap Needleworm or Absorbing Jar, or even play cards like Dark Deal, Fabled Dianera, Artifact Durandal, and Ceruli, Guru of Dark World. all these cards pretty much get the job done. With the added bonus as well of this card being able to be put back into the deck if you would prefer it in the deck rather than in your hand. It's pretty good. The consistency of it though is another story. The fact that if you're relying on dumping cards from the deck at random, it's random. There's a very strong chance it could be at the very bottom of your deck and you may have to go through your entire deck to get to that. And if your opponent negates any of the monster's abilities on the field, it's a problem because now you're going to be playing with cards in your deck that are useless because you won't be able to meet the win criteria. Overall though, I like them. I think they're really interesting and they could slip into nearly any deck really. I've honestly been thinking about just throwing them in a random deck to see how they do. Yes, there'd be dead draws, but it'd be interesting. Exodius, the ultimate forbidden lord. He is a level 10 monster whose effect is he cannot be normal summoned or set, must be special summoned from your hand by shuffling all monsters in your graveyard into the deck, and cannot be special summoned by other ways. When this card declares an attack, send one monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard. This card gains 1000 attack for each normal monster in your graveyard. If this face-up card would leave the field, banish it instead. If there were 5 different Forbidden 1 cards in your graveyard that were sent there by this card's effect, you win the duel. Another instant win card, this time used by Adrian Gecko in the Yu-Gi-Oh! GX anime. It has to be good if it costs the life of the one you love most in order to be summoned. Or at least that's what it cost in the anime anyway. Wait, anyway, what's that? Adrian lost with Exodius? Awkward. So Exodius, the ultimate Forbidden Lord's win condition is all you have to do, summon this monster to the field, attack. Every time you attack, you can throw one of your Exodia pieces in your deck, which, by the way, you have to play Exodia in your deck for this card to win. Throw a piece away. Just do that 5 times. If you've sent all the pieces to Exodia to the grave, you win. As a bonus as well, every time you send one of these monsters to the graveyard, you get an additional 1000 attack to this monster. So then the question becomes, how hard is this monster to summon to the field? Well, it's actually super easy, barely an inconvenience. All you do is shuffle your graveyard into your deck, and that's it. That's meant to be a cost. Beautiful. That is a level 10 monster you have just summoned to the field for basically free. The logic behind shuffling all the graveyard monsters into the deck is 1, in case you've got any Exodia pieces in there, then you can put them back in and that's a good thing. But the negative to it as well is the fact that if you do have loads of normal monsters in the graveyard, it stops you from summoning this monster out with like a really powerful attack and defense. Instead, it makes you always have 0. So now the question becomes, because this monster is so easy to get out, how hard is it actually to get this monster's win condition? Well, it's its vulnerability that it's its problem. It has no protection for itself. Even worse, it has terrible attack to start with. You have to summon this monster with 0 attack because it shoves all of the graveyard back into the deck. The first attack you do, you have 0 attack. However, you get to send one of your cards to the graveyard and that's 1000 attack. Yeah, 1000 attack isn't going to get over a lot of monsters. So you're going to have to play some additional cards to throw some more cards in the graveyard if you want to boost this monster's attack. And then the other problem arises. If you want this monster to have decent attack, you have to play normal monsters. And normal monsters are normal. They don't do anything. That's bad. I honestly think the biggest problem with this card is if Exodia the Forbidden One goes in the graveyard, which it most likely will. If your opponent activates a card that banishes a card from the graveyard and they banish Exodia the Forbidden One, the main one, it's limited to 1. So you're screwed really, aren't you? So if you want to be clever, make sure to send that one to the graveyard last. To be fair though, doing an instant win, never meant to be easy, was it? Regardless, I like this card. It's some weird, distant cousin of Exodia or something, so that makes it pretty awesome. And the fact that it's an easy level 10 monster to be summoned, you can play it in other decks that aren't focused around its ability. You can literally just put this card in any deck if you want to get a rank 10 out. If you play a train deck, bosh, sorted. Final Countdown. It's a spell card that's effect is pay 2000 life points after 20 turns have passed. Counting the turn you activate this card as the first turn, you win the duel. Finally, it's an excuse to break out that 20-sided die you bought. Remember when I said Angel of Mischief was the second most stally card in this list? Well, this one is the first. If Angel of Mischief technically needed about 6-7 turns, this monster needs 20. Nearly triple that. Final Countdown is so high on this list because it is a way to win a duel without having to deal even a lick of damage. It also, which I think is the biggest selling point to this, has an amazing name, Final Countdown, or again, even better in the Japanese, Countdown to the End. Oh, so cool. It really reminds me of Majora's Mask. You know in Majora's Mask, moon's coming down to Earth and you got that sort of countdown going down to the end of the world. It reminds me of that, so I'd like to imagine if you play this card, the music kicks in and it keeps ramping up every few turns. I think that'd be awesome. It makes me question it, really. Like, a couple of the cards on this list so far, Yu-Gi-Oh! Bad guys have used them. Why hasn't any of the bad guys used this card yet? That'd be awesome. Do it, Konami. Wait, what? What did you say? What's my personal opinion of Final Countdown as a win mechanic? Oh, I hate it. Yeah, this card can be so high on the list if I hate the card personally. I have very bad memories of this card. One of the tournaments I went to, hold on, YCS 2012, the last Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament that I went to, I was in a win a giant card tournament, and I played against a Final Countdown player. And obviously I hate Final Countdown decks because they have to take 20 turns, and they play all the cards that really piss me off and some of the cards I hate the most. But specifically about this person, if you're watching today, I'm sure you don't remember me, but still, this guy was an absolute scumbag, like in real life as well. He was like making up like little rules and stuff. He's like, I activated this card, and if you said that you didn't go into your battle phase or something, then that doesn't actually technically count as a turn, and blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, he was a bit of a dick. And that kind of made me hate Final Countdown decks. Any deck that plays Level Limit Area B or Messenger of Peace, ugh, hate those cards. Hate them with a burning passion. But I've got to give it to this card that if it's put in the right deck, it's a fantastic win condition. All they have to do is get this card into their hand, activate it, pay the 2,000 life points, and then the countdown is on. Your opponent has to defeat you within 20 turns. That pressure, that stress, they need to do it. I imagine they'll do some silly moves in this time because they really want to get things over with. The negative though is 20 turns is a long time. If you're not getting the cards you need, a lot of things can go wrong in those 20 turns. And most of the time, they probably will. Not the most consistent deck, but it has seen some tournament play, so it is consistent enough to be good. So with the right builds, you should be able to make those 20 turns. Fair play. Final Countdown, number 2. Exodia, the Forbidden One, and all his pieces. Cliche, I'm sorry, but do let me explain. In terms of reliability, this card probably has no right in being in the number 1 position, but in terms of the most satisfying way to win a duel, this guy, in my opinion, is the absolute best way. I mean, it was the first instant win we had ever seen in the anime. Used by Yugimoto when there was no chance of winning in the conventional way, it was an amazing and iconic moment in the series, and although that scumbag Weevil Underwood threw them into the sea, its legend will live on forever. Exodia's effect is if you have the right leg, the left leg, the right arm, and the left arm of the Forbidden One, in addition to this card in your hand, you win the duel. The win condition is so simple, you get all the cards into your hand and you win. I just like the idea of you draw that final piece and you're like this and you're like, I win. Yugimoto getting all these cards in the space of like 6 or 7 turns, that doesn't really happen in real life, keep that in mind. I will throw something out there though that Exodia has over all the other cards that we've mentioned in the list today. If you're an Exodia player and you're playing 5 pieces of an Exodia deck in a 40 card deck, every time you start a duel, you have a 1 in 658,008 chance of getting a 0-turn kill because you've drew all the cards in your starting hand and you've won straight away. You've always guaranteed that eventually you'll get a guaranteed win. For this deck to work, you need to throw in as many bamboo swords, magical libraries, allures of darkness, 1 days of pieces, so on and so forth, and just hope you get the cards before you get demolished in the duel. Sometimes you can get the perfect hand. You just start really well, you do all your plays, and sometimes you can win on the first turn just by getting all the plays going. Exodia decks are designed to thin your deck out as quickly as possible. However, the fact that nowadays we've got so many hand traps and negation abilities, if your opponent is given any opportunity, they will most likely stop you nowadays. But in terms of coolness, I do think Exodia the Forbidden One is one of the ultimate ways to win an instant win in Yu-Gi-Oh!
Big hit on her.
Everybody join in. Use your powerful hand. Left foot all afraid. Nigga, get your black ass out of here. Nigga, get your black ass out of here. Yeah. Nigga, get your black ass out of here. Nigga, get your black ass out of here. Keep going. Get very little duck. Your mama's eating shit.
The last semi-final duel will now begin. The winner of this duel will advance to the championship round to face Marek Ishtar.
The latest in holographic technology. Welcome to Duelist Coliseum. So draw your first card and let the battle begin.
With pleasure, Kaiba. Summon Queen's Knight in defense mode. Now place one card face down.
I summon my X-Head Cannon in attack mode. I'll activate a magic card. It lets us both move one magic card from our deck to our hand. Now, choose the magic card.
That was weird. Why would Kaiba want me to have instant access to my favorite magic card?
I'll place one card face down and end my turn.
My move!
X-Head Cannon is stronger than my Queen's Knight. So why didn't he attack?
Summon Alpha, the Magnet Warrior, in defense mode. And then I'll play one card face down.
My move! I'll activate magic card. Soul Exchange.
That's why you spared my queen.
Both of your monsters now belong to me, Yugi. Now I can sacrifice...
Reveal my face down card. Change of heart. X-Head Cannon belongs to me for one turn.
I've got plenty more planned. Reveal face down card. Enemy controller. Left, right, A, B. Bring my X-Head Cannon back to my side of the field so I have 3 monsters to sacrifice once again. Obelisk the Tormentor!
Go, Light Force Sword!
Oh no!
Obelisk the Tormentor is completely useless to you for 3 turns. Your Soul Exchange card is no longer in effect.
My turn may be over now.
I move.
For now, I have to deal with Kaiba's X-Head Cannon. Neither of the monsters I have on the field are strong enough to take it down.
I play one card face down and end my turn.
My move! Go! Y Dragon Head! Now my monsters join! XY Dragon Cannon! My XY Dragon Cannon! Attack his Magnet Warrior! It's time you surrendered your Egyptian God card to me! Now I activate Lullaby of Obedience! This magic card allows me to take a monster from your deck and add it to my hand! It's your Egyptian God card! Your most powerful card went to a much more worthy duelist. My card, please. Slifer was buried so deep in your deck, you never would have drawn it any... Both Egyptian God cards are mine!
And I want to thank you for helping me claim what I deserve.
What?
Reveal magic card! Exchange! So give Slifer back to me. Now you pick one. I appreciate your help. Here goes! I summon Big Shield Gardener in defense mode. Then I shall place one card face down. That ends my turn.
This is exactly what I needed to complete my strategy. I place one card face down. I summon Z Metal Tank in attack mode. That's the final feature I needed to complete my ultimate machine monster. Behold my XYZ Dragon Cannon! XYZ Dragon Cannon, attack his monster!
I reveal my face-down card, Soul Rope Trap! Cost of 1,000 of my life points. This card allows me to summon 4-star monster whenever one of my creatures is destroyed. I choose King's Knight! And now summon Jack's Knight to the field.
Then you'll have 3 monsters!
I sacrifice all 3 of my monsters! I summon my Egyptian God card! Slifer, the Sky Dragon!
I'm not impressed, Yugi. Slifer the Sky Dragon's attack points are equal to 1,000 times the number of cards you're holding in your hand, Yugi.
That's right, which makes it 200 attack points stronger than your XYZ Dragon Cannon. So I can eliminate your cannon.
If you're so sure, then attack.
You must be up to something.
Slifer, attack his monster now!
Take a good look at my face-down card, Interdimensional Matter Transporter. My trap card was able to take it out of play for 1 turn.
Play this face down. What's wrong, Kaiba? Did I confuse you?
Yugi just lowered his monster's attack points by playing a card from his hand.
Well, what are you waiting for? Slifer is weaker than your monster now.
Your Light Force Sword is no longer in effect, so my Egyptian God card is free now. I sacrifice my XYZ Dragon Cannon, so I can summon this, Obelisk the Tormentor! It's over, Yugi! My Egyptian God card is here at last!
I hope I can hold my own against the power of Obelisk. He's twice as strong as my Slifer.
Your Egyptian God card is powerless against mine.
Slifer, activate your special ability! You were saying about your Egyptian God card being stronger than mine. Take a close look, Kaiba.
Now I'll place 2 cards face down.
It's my move. Since I'm now holding 3 cards, Slifer's attack points rise to 3,000. My face down card, Pot of Greed. I can now draw 2 more cards from my deck. My dragon, attack!
Why activate Command Silencer!
What is that?
And since your monster couldn't hear your command, your attack is cancelled out.
I'll place 2 cards face down on the field and end my turn.
It's my move.
Reveal my trap card, Disgraceful Charity! Now we must redraw the cards, giving me a grand total of 6 cards. My Slifer gains 3,000 points!
Well, thanks to you, I was able to draw this magic card. It lets me summon 2 monsters.
Slifer automatically strikes every monster you summon.
I activate Card Guard. I sacrifice my 2 monsters. These 2 sacrifices allow Obelisk dealing 4,000 points of damage to your life points. Obelisk the Tormentor, deplete his life points.
Hold on!
Nothing can stop the wrath of Obelisk. Finally, Yugi lost to me!
Oh, really? Discarding Karibo from my hand protects my life point.
I place 1 card face down on the field, and that ends my turn.
My move! Slifer, destroy his obelisk!
You triggered my trap card! Power Balance! Thanks to my power balance trap, you have to discard half of the cards in your hand. Slifer's attack points reduced by 3,000. So throw out your 3 cards.
Very well, Kaiba.
Like my obelisk is stronger than your Slifer.
Now I activate my necromancy card.
What's going on? Why are all of my monsters returning to the field?
Necromancy restores 4 monsters from your graveyard, Kaiba. And since monsters have been played on your side of the field, my Slifer's special effect has been triggered. Slifer destroyed your 4 new monsters. My necromancy magic card weakens your 1 remaining monster. So Obelisk loses 2,400 attack points. Slifer! Destroy Obelisk! What have you done?
Your Egyptian God card destroy my Sword of Soul, which allows me to add 1,000 attack points. Obelisk destroy his Slifer! What? Your Slifer should have been destroyed!
When you activated your power balance card, I had to place 3 cards in my graveyard. It's a useful monster card known as Electromagnetic Turtle. When this monster is sent to the graveyard, I not stopped Obelisk from attacking, Kaiba. Now I place this card face down.
My move! Obelisk, wipe out his life points!
Reveal the magic card! Spell textbook! Now I must discard every card in my hand, and then draw 1 new card.
If I don't draw the right card now, I'll lose to Kaiba.
I activate Card of Sanctity! It requires both of us to draw until each one of us is holding 6 cards! And now Slifer has 6,000 attack points!
I activate my final trap card, Life Shaver!
Kaiba, are you alright?
I'm fine. I'll place 1 card face down on the field.
It's my move now!
I can't wipe out Kaiba's life points with this! It's too weak!
I summon Gazelle in defense mode!
Behold my cloning trap card.
Then I shall place 1 card face down now. That ends my turn.
So prepare to feel the wrath of my Blue Eyes White Dragon!
Blue Eyes? But how? You need to sacrifice 2 monsters for that!
My cost-down magic card! My Blue Eyes White Dragon is instantly reduced from an 8-star monster to a 6-star monster! I sacrifice my Gazelle clone! And now, I summon Blue Eyes White Dragon! Blue Eyes, attack his Gazelle with White Lightning!
I use Monster Reborn to bring back a monster from my graveyard! Dark Magician, come forth! I shall place 1 card face down.
Yugi's past duels very carefully, and I know what he's up to! One of his face-down cards will make his Dark Magician stronger, and he'll use the other one to stop my Blue Eyes attack. Behold this! I summon Lord of Dragons! As long as it's on the field, my Blue Eyes is safe from all magic and trap cards!
My move! I summon Beta, the Magnet Warrior, in defense mode! Dark Magician, attack his Lord of Dragons!
I reveal my trap card, Magical Trick Mirror! Now I can take 1 magic card from your graveyard, Monster Reborn! Behold, the rebirth of my Egyptian God card!
But Egyptian God cards can only be revived for 1 turn!
But 1 turn is all I need to block your Dark Magician's attack! It's time for Obelisk to absorb your attack!
I'll place 1 card face down and end my turn.
It's time for Obelisk to return to the graveyard. Now my Egyptian God card, be gone! I switch Lord of Dragon to defense mode. I activate the magic card, the Flute of Summoning Dragon. As soon as my Lord of Dragons plays this flute, 2 more dragons will be summoned to the field. All you've got is your Dark Magician and your pathetic Magnet Warrior, Yugi. Ha! I can annihilate them and wipe out your life points! My 3 blue eyes, attack!
Hold on, Yug. Joey? I'm about to lose this duel!
It's like you always tell me. Look closely and consider all of your options. I think you'll find a card that can save you.
Let's see. He's right! There's still hope!
What? It's Red Eye's Black Dragon!
You used your flute of summoning dragon to summon your blue eyes to the field. Your flute works on my hand as well.
Annihilate his Dark Magician first!
Activate trap!
That protects your Dark Magician.
My trap also sends your weakest monster to the card graveyard.
But you'll never escape my other 2 attacks. Then your Red Eyes is next.
Feel face down card. My spellbinding circle card lowers its strength by 700. Destroy his blue eyes white dragon with the fire blast!
You may have saved yourself for now, but this duel's far from done.
I move.
But for now, I have his 2 blue eyes white dragons to worry about.
I'll place this face down. Then I'll switch my red eyes black dragon into defense mode.
I activate my trap card. Final attack orders trap card. Every monster on the field stays in attack mode. And next, we each choose any 3 cards we want, and the rest of our deck goes to the card graveyard. These 3 cards are more than enough to ensure my victory.
Need to figure out his strategy in order to come up with a way to stop him.
Ready? I play the magic card, Monster Reborn! My blue eyes white dragon! Activate this! Now I shall fuse my 3 dragons together! Say hello to my blue eyes ultimate dragon! Nothing you do can stop my 3-headed beast!
Reveal face down card. This card duplicates every magic card you used on your last turn. It's Monster Reborn and Polymerization. Bring Buster Blader back from the graveyard. I'll use Polymerization using my Dark Magician with my Buster Blader. My move! I'll place 1 card face down and end my turn.
This is where it all ends, Yugi! Attack, Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon!
I activate the face down card, Magic Formula!
I activate Absorb Spell! Therefore, the attack points you just added to your Dark Paladin will be transferred to my Ultimate Dragon!
I still have 1 face down card left.
My Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon cannot be stopped, Yugi!
I defusion your Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon into the 3 original dragons!
No! I need my Ultimate Dragon to win the duel! This can't be happening!
And since my Dark Paladin receives 500 attack points for every dragon on the field, my move! Play my final magic card! Diffusion Wave Motion! Now my monster can attack all 3 of your Blue Eyes White Dragons at once! Dark Paladin attack!